Hello, today we're going to discuss the Visual Designer app, and we're going to discuss about the decommissioning and the replacement for that application. The second part is going to be on an overview of the configuration for the EcoStruxure industrial device application with Visual Designer. And the third part is going to be on the EcoStruxure industrial device app with EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert. So as the end of the year of 2025, the Visual Designer app has been decommissioned. So it is no longer available on the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. So for existing user, it's possible. I mean, you can still continue to use the app. There's no problem, as long as you don't update Visual Designer past version 6.3 Service Pack 1. If you go to version 6.3 Service Pack 2, you're gonna have to use the EcoStruxure Industrial Device app. For new users, you're going to have to use also the EcoStruxure industrial device application, and you're going to have the minimum requirement is to use Visual Designer version 6.3 Service Pack 2 or higher. So again, to summarize, EcoStruxure industrial device app requires Visual Designer 6.3 Service Pack 2 or higher to work. But if you are an existing user, you already have the Visual Designer application already installed and everything, you can keep using it as long as you don't update Visual Designer to higher than version 6.3 Service Pack 1. So the configuration of the EcoStruxure Industrial Device app with Visual Designer is somewhat similar to the Visual Designer app. So what you have to do is there's a couple things, right? So the first thing is to go to remote access. And on the remote access, I mean, it's probably already done if you were using the Visual Designer app. So you're going to select that, right? I mean, this technically should be updated, but I guess for the existing user and stuff, it's still going to say Visual Designer. So you want to select that, and you want to pay attention to the port, right? That's going to be important when you go into the app, right? So the other thing you can do with this is under the security. If you enable security, I mean, you don't have to, but it is somewhat recommended, depending on the application and stuff. If you enable security, in this case, I just created one. It's called Dawn, and my password is 123, right? So right here, it's going to say Visual Designer. So if you set that up here, if that's enabled, it's going to ask you this password when you log in with the app. But in addition to that, this won't work as long as there's a, I guess it's a new feature. There's a Boolean variable here that it's called remote connection. So it's a structure, remote viewer, and it says disable connection. That variable here has to be equal to 0, right? So if it's true, it won't allow the connection. So, and that's, if you enable the security, that's something to keep in mind, right? So to use the app, I just created a basic application here. This is a HMISCU, it's a PLC HMI combo, but this doesn't matter. You can use an STU or an HMI GTO or a GTU or any model supported with Visual Designer, right? So one thing I want to point out here, this feature does not use the WebGate, right? So this is for the app. So the WebGate is strictly for the if you use a browser and stuff like that. But this is with your phone if you want to connect to the HMI and display the page on your device, right? So so basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what it does, right? All right, so in my case, I'm using an iPhone on the Apple App Store. This is the application you want to download, right? It's called EcoStruxure Industrial Device, and we are currently at version 2.61, so that's the latest version as of today. So to use the app, it's actually quite simple. So you can see here I already have two devices selected, right? So I have the HMI SCU and I have the HMI ST6, which is programmed by EOTE, which we're going to cover in a second. But let's say if you have a new device here that you want to add, all you have to do is you click on the plus sign on the bottom. And there's a couple options. Normally, I just go with select, it says select product, and I click on that. And on select product, you want to go under HMI, and you want to pick either EOTE or Vijeo Designer. In this case, we have Vijeo Designer. And at that point, you click OK. You can give it a name, the name of the HMI, let's say. Let's say if it's an HMI GTO, right? Then you want to enter the port, and you want to give it the IP address, right? So the IP, whatever the IP address of the HMI you want to that you set up in the configuration. Then the port is what is in the PLC that which we cover, not the PLC, but the HMI software which we covered earlier. So, so in this case, I don't have any GTOs, so I won't pick that. So I'm going to go back to the home. So I already did the HMI SCU, so I'm going to click on that one, right? And I'm going to try to connect. And hit connect. So in this case, it's not working. You can't see it here, but you're going to see it in a second. But on the HMI, I have this bit here, the switch, which basically toggle on and off this Boolean variable. So I'm going to turn that bit to 0, and I'm going to try the connection again. There we go. Now it's asking me for my password and username. There we go. I'm connected. So basically, that's what the app looks like with Vijeo Designer, right? So this is the replacement for the Vijeo Designer app. So to summarize, in Vijeo Designer, all you have to do is go under remote access. You want to make sure that Vijeo Designer is selected. Take a look at your port, right? And then if you are using security, which I do in this case, you also want to turn on this bit, right? So actually you want to set this bit to, you want to reset it. So it should be 0, right? In this case, I just have a little toggle, right? So it turns on the connection on and off, right? And that's about it for this Vijeo Designer app. All right, now let's talk about the EcoStruxure Industrial Device app configuration with the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert EOTE software. This EOTE software is for the HMI ST6. So it's a little different than Vijeo Designer. So in this case, you're going to use the app works with a web viewer, right? So basically, you just have to select web viewer, and then you set up the port, and then that's pretty much all you have to do, right? So you're going to have obviously your IP address and all that stuff, right? But you know, the only thing you want to do in order data access is set up web viewer and select the port you're going to be using, which in this case it's 8082, right? So you're going to transfer this application to the HMI, and in this case I already have a little test project here that I'm going to demo in a second. The other thing I want to point out is if you do a transfer with EOTE to an HMI, you know, this box here, it says allow Ethernet transfer. If you're doing an Ethernet transfer, right, you want to make sure that's selected. Otherwise, if it's not selected and you do a download over Ethernet, you're going to kind of lock yourself out. So you would have to use like a USB connection or a USB flash drive to unlock it, right? For the transfer over Ethernet. So, but again, to summarize, you're going to go under data access. I'm at the target properties, data access, and then you select web viewer and select your port, do a transfer for the application. So on your phone, once you launch the app, you're going to go to home. You're going to see the existing devices that you already set up. But if you want to add another one, again, all you have to do is click on the plus sign. Then you can click on product, select product, click on HMI, and then select the family. In this case, it's a HMI EOTE. And then you enter the name, and you would basically put the IP address, HMI ST6. Then you would put in the IP address and the port. Right. In this case, I won't complete this, but I'm just going to go back to the home because it's already in there. So I'm going to select the HMI ST6, hit OK. Now I'm going to hit direct connection, hit connect. It's going to ask me some security and all that stuff, so I'm going to click OK. Now it's telling me that my connection is unsecure, which is it's a little home network, so it's fine. I'm going to hit admin. There we go. And then this is the HMI on the EcoStruxure Industrial Device app using the Terminal Expert software, EOTE.